Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to give a full review of the Money Manager app. In my last video, I did a full tutorial and showed you how to do everything that you would need to do in that app, how to set it up, how to enter your transactions, how to read the graphs, etc., etc. In this video, I'm going to just give you a quick run through all the features that you get for free in this app, all the features you get when you pay for this app, and I'm going to give my recommendations, the things I liked about the app, the things I didn't like about the app, and then finally we're going to go right into the app score. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So free features that you get with this app. Pretty much everything is free with this app, so I'm not going to break it down into free and paid features. I can just tell you off the bat, you get ads every once in a while if you don't pay for the app. When you do pay for the app, you don't have to look at the ads don't pop up anymore, and you have access to their PC manager, which means you can go on your desktop and you can manage everything from there. So you have the desktop and the app. You also have access to unlimited accounts. So when you are entering your bank accounts and those type of categories, you get up to 15 with the free version, which I think is more than enough for any regular person. But if you needed more than that, you can pay to unlock that feature. So when you get into the app first, what you see is the main page, and it's usually your transactions that you enter day by day, or you can have the calendar view. You can change that in the settings. You can also change the color of the app in the settings if that's what you want to do. With this app, you can also get unlimited categories, so you can categorize everything that you're spending properly. What I really like about this app is that you can not only have categories, but you get to have subcategories. Same thing for your income, your expenses, and for your accounts. So you would set it up your cash accounts if you have cash in multiple places, like let's say you have some in your wallet, or you keep some in your house, maybe you have like a jar where you keep change. You can keep track of that in this app also. You can have a subcategory called investments, and you can list all of your investments below. For the categories for spending, you can do an overall category, let's say housing, and then under housing, you can have like your rent and your mortgage, you can have your property taxes, your utilities, your internet, things like that. For food also, you can break it down further. You can do groceries, you could do fast food. So I really like how they have it set up so that it's not just an overarching category, and you also don't have to create separate categories. You could have one category for housing, and then under it, you can put everything that is related to housing under that category. When you're entering transactions, I really like that you don't have to switch back and forth page to page to try and find your category and your account that it comes from. Everything is done on one screen. So you choose if you want to enter an expense, a transaction, a transfer, or an income. You have all your information you can put in. Your accounts populate at the bottom. Your categories populate at the bottom of that page. You don't have to really go in and out of the page so that you can enter the transaction how you want it to be entered. I also like that you can favorite a transaction. So if you don't want to set up the reoccurring transactions, you can enter a transaction in full before you hit save. You can set it up as a bookmark. So if you're entering a transaction that is the same on another day, you can just select it from there. Or you can enter reoccurring ones and it'll just do it automatically. There's also a feature where you can set up installments. So if you're paying your car payments in installments, or if you're paying for some furniture in installments, that's a really handy tool to have where you can set it up and then set up the total amount in one transaction for that installment. And then every single month until the installment is done, it'll set it up, it'll post it for you in your transactions. Something else that I feel is really cool is that you have different ways that you can look at your transactions. So you can have the daily, then you can have the calendar, then you could have the weekly and the monthly, and then you can see your budgeted at the very end. The only thing I don't like is that you have to go all the way to the end on the first screen to see your budget. I think that budgeting apps, if their main focus is budgeting, or if they're selling themselves as a budgeting app, the budget should be more accessible. It should be right there in your face when you open the app. Okay, whoa, I overspent here, or I could spend more money over here. That is something that's more optimal to me than just being able to see the transactions that you had for the day. So I recommend that they move that budgeting from the totals area at the end to the beginning or the middle, or at least have in the bottom menu at least have an option where you could just click, you could just press an icon and it'll take you straight to your budget. I like the way their graphs are set up and that it's not too overwhelming. There's not too much information. There's not too many options. It's just a simple pie chart where you can see everything individually by category, and then the subcategories are included in that category. So I really like the simplicity of how they divide it from the expenses and the income, and then how you can select the different periods that you want to see your budget, your spending over. I do also like how they have a running total, and I like how they carry over your balances. So on your main page, you would see your total amount at the top of the screen. That is just the money that it's an accumulated amount of money from all of your accounts that you have that you can spend. When you're in your configuration, you can see or in your account sections, actually, you can see your net worth at the top also in that same area that you would see the amount of money that you have left to spend. Another feature that I think is great is that you can actually add categories while you're entering a transaction. That is something that I find really helpful, and it would be really helpful for a lot of people, because sometimes we forget to add a category, or we spend a certain amount of money on something that we probably don't usually spend on, or we wouldn't think of it, and we would need to add a new category. So you can just add it directly from that page. Something that I think is odd for a money management app is that you can't split transactions. So that is something that I don't know what happened. Maybe the developer is working on it or trying to find a way to incorporate it into this app. But I find it very odd in this day and age. We don't usually buy things separately. We usually go to the store. If you go to Walmart, you know that you can buy your groceries, you can buy your toiletries, you can buy a bunch of things all in one spot. It should be almost mandatory for budgeting apps to have a split option where you could split your transactions instead of entering two separate transactions. It's almost like they thought of the opposite, which was adding a calculator feature so that if you have multiple receipts, especially if they're small amounts, you don't want to add them in individually. You could add them together into one, but I find that it's a little odd that they don't have the option that you can split them into separate ones. Like that you can work out your budget for the rest of the year. So you have your budget for the particular month. You don't have to recreate a new budget every month. It automatically carries over the amounts for you. But you can click through your budget, and in certain months when you know you're going to spend more, let's say if you're shopping more because it's Christmas or back to school, or if there's a birthday party or something, or if your taxes are due at a certain date, like your municipal taxes or your property taxes, I think it's really great that you can add that in manually and you don't have to go and create a new budget every single month and make the adjustment. It's just already in there, and I just love that they have that feature. I do, as I mentioned before, I personally like to have an app where I can link my bank account to it, but this is a great option for people who don't like to link their bank accounts. I've tested out numerous amounts of manual apps in the past before we even were able to link our bank accounts to these budgeting apps. And this one seems to be by far the most inclusive one, the one with the best features, I would say. And for the price point, which is $6.59 to unlock all of the features, I would definitely highly recommend this app. So that is me going over the features briefly of this app. If you want more in depth, as I said, I have posted a full tutorial for this app, and I even timestamped in the description where you would find how to do certain things in that app. So that will be linked in the cards and in the end screen. And now what I want to do is go right in for gold and go and give the app its final score. App score is out of 100 and it's broken down into separate categories. The first category being the ease of budgeting, which is out of 25. The second being the app layout, which is out of 20. The third being other features, which is out of 20. The tracking process, which is out of 15. And access, which is out of 20. So for this app, let's start in the ease of budgeting. So category types, because there are unlimited amount of categories, you have control over the categories. You can even add subcategories. I'm going to give this 5 out of 5. For the category amounts, another 5 out of 5. For the ease of adding categories and accounts, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. For the budgeting period, I'm going to give it also a 5 out of 5 because you have so many different ways where you can look at the different ways of your different periods. You can do it monthly. You can look at it bi-weekly. So that is very interesting. And the budget layout, I'm actually going to give it a 5 out of 5 because I really like that you can go into the budget and you can change it up for different months without really ruining your entire budget. So out of that, it's going to be a total of 25 out of 25 for the ease of budgeting. The app layout, for the ease of getting to important and relevant information, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. The learning curve, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 just because it's not really set up because there's so many different features and there's so many different ways you could drill down and do all this stuff. You would have to play with it a little bit. I had to play around in there a little bit to figure a few things out, to figure what I could and could not do. And I'm sure that there are features that I probably haven't even taken full advantage of yet because I would still be learning the app. For the color and design, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. You can customize it. It's not fully customizable. As I said, I would really like to have it customizable to the point where I can see my budget sooner in the app, like before seeing my spending daily in the calendar, monthly, weekly. I want to be able to see my budget. If I'm using this for budgeting, I would like to really see my budget first and foremost and have access to it. So that's why it's losing a point for the design. The overall layout, because of that, I would have to give it a 4 out of 5, just because, again, the design of it, it's not really, I'm not going to say it's marketed as a budgeting app, but the main feature, I think, would be budgeting. You're tracking your spending. You're not just doing it for fun. You're doing it for a reason. So I still think that it should be in the forefront. So that gives a 17 out of 20 for app layout. For the other features, the charts, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. I like different options for charts. The charts here in this app are pretty simple. It's great, especially if you're first starting out and you're learning how to use these different money managing apps. I feel like these charts are perfect for beginners. For me, I still would like to see a little bit more options, a little more customizability with the charts. So the customizability of the info and layout, etc. Again, it's going to be a 4 simply because there's only so much I could do to customize the actual app for what I need. Import and export, I gave it a 3 because when I tried to export the information, for some reason it was not working. I don't know if it's because I didn't take the paid version yet when I was doing that. I don't know if it's because it's on my phone, so it's a little weird, but it was just not working for me and I could not figure out the reason why. Special features, I'm going to give it a 4 because there weren't an enormous amount of special features, but there were enough to merit a 4 out of 5 on this, for a total of 15 in this category. The tracking process. So how easy it is for us to track things. I give it a 5 out of 5 because it's really easy. You get to, as I mentioned, you get to see your spending in so many different ways. So I really like that feature for the app. The notifications, I gave it a 5 out of 5 because it's a simple notification. It's not bothersome where they're constantly updating you. Like if you were using an app that you link your account to, those apps I find they tend to update you periodically throughout the day. This app, when you set the notifications, you turn it on and it reminds you once a day, have you entered your transactions for the day? That will remind you, oh, I didn't, or yes, I did. And that's that. So I really like that. For the net worth, it's a very simple calculation, or it's a very simple bar above the, on top of the screen. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5, just because with other apps I've seen that you can drill down on it and see the details. You have control over what's included in your net worth and what isn't included. And I just feel like I think a little bit more effort could have been put into that. But I'm not taking away too many points because that's not the focus of the app, right? It's a money management app. Your net worth is important. Everything else that is featured in this app and what this app has to offer outshines that. For a 13 out of 15. So the free features, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. because almost everything is free with this app. And for paid features, I'm going to also give it a 10 out of 10 because it takes away the ads and you get a whole desktop application. That one is going to be a 20 out of 20 for the access, for a total overall score of 80 out of 100. Good job for this app. I highly recommend this app for anybody who would be a beginner, who wants to start budgeting but wants a way to be able to have it with them at all times. You don't want to write it down because you don't want to carry that paper around with you all day, and you just want to have your budget and your spending and manage everything in your phone. This would be a good app to start with. It has a ton of features, as I mentioned, and as you would see in my tutorial, and it's just a great app all together. So that is my review of this app. I hope you like this video. If you like it, you can hit that like button and you can subscribe and hit the notification bell, and more videos will be coming down the line like this. So thank you and have a great day. Bye.